absurdity of this designation is really unprecedented. As you know, the 1959 was the year of the Great Leap Forward, a policy that caused the death of millions of Chinese. In Tibet, the uprising was the result of the radical policies of CCP, and the CCP was responsible for the loss of many lives in Tibet. CCP likes to talk about the serf system in old Tibet. The fact is, similar situation existed in Chinese society as well. Moreover, the communist revolution eliminated many basic freedoms and indeed enslaved the whole nation. What the CCP needs to do is to own up to its slave master past. What it actually does is to liken itself to Lincoln. I have to say that this shows that CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, knows no shame. As Chinese campaigners for democracy, we sympathize with the Tibetans in their sufferings. We also admire the tireless struggle of the Tibetan people and the inspired leadership of the Dalai Lama. Let us walk hand in hand in our common journey to freedom. Free Tibet, free China. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yu Dahai. The representative, Mr. Lobsang Yenda, Council Member Mr. Tony Avella, and Mr. Wei Mingchen, member of the China-Tibet Study Group and the creator of this piece, will now unveil the sculpture entitled Tibet's Road to Freedom.
现在，洛桑先生、达赖喇嘛的驻美代表、托尼先生、纽约的市议员以及陈为民先生、中国旅美雕刻家将进行揭幕仪式。
예, 정말 민지 마서 거기.
Thank you very much. Next, we will have the reading of His Holiness's March 10 remarks. Representative Mr. Lobsang Yenda will read His Holiness's March 10 remarks.
下面我们会宣读达赖喇嘛对3月10号的讲话，由洛桑代表来宣读。
The statement of His Holiness the Dalai Lama on the 50th anniversary of the Tibetan National Uprising Day. Today is the 50th anniversary of the Tibetan people's peaceful uprising against Communist China's repression in Tibet. Since last March, widespread peaceful protests have erupted across the whole of Tibet. Most of the participants were youths born and brought up after 1959 who have not seen or experienced a free Tibet. However, the fact that they were driven by a firm conviction to serve the cause of Tibet that has continued from generation to generation is indeed a matter of pride. It will serve as a source of inspiration for those in the international community who take keen interest in the issue of Tibet. We pay tribute and offer our prayers for all those who died, were tortured and suffered tremendous hardships, including during the crisis last year, for the cause of Tibet since our struggle began. Around 1949, communist forces began to enter northeastern and eastern Tibet, Kham and Amdo, and by 1950, more than 5,000 Tibetan soldiers had been killed. Taking the prevailing situation into account, the Chinese government chose a policy of peaceful liberation, which in 1951 led to the signing of the 17-point agreement and its annexure. Since then, Tibet has come under the control of the People's Republic of China. However, the agreement clearly mentions that Tibet's distinct religion, culture, and traditional values would be protected. Between 1954 and 1955, I met with most of the senior Chinese leaders in the Communist Party, government and military, led by Chairman Mao Zedong in Beijing. When we discussed ways of achieving the social and economic development of Tibet, as well as maintaining Tibet's religious and cultural heritage, Mao Zedong and all the other leaders agreed to establish a preparatory committee to pave the way for the implementation of the autonomous region, as stipulated in the agreement, rather than establishing a military administrative commission. From about 1956 onwards, however, the situation took a turn for the worse with the imposition of ultra-leftist policies in Tibet. Consequently, the assurances given by high authorities were not implemented on the ground. The forceful implementation of the so-called democratic reform in the Kham and Amdo regions of Tibet, which did not accord with prevailing conditions, resulted in immense chaos and destruction. In central Tibet, Chinese officials forcibly and deliberately violated the terms of the 17-point agreement, and their heavy-handed tactics increased day by day. These desperate developments left the Tibetan people with no alternative but to launch a peaceful uprising on 10th March 1959. The Chinese authorities responded with unprecedented force that led to the killing, arrest, and imprisonment of tens of thousands of Tibetans in the following months. Consequently, accompanied by a small party of Tibetan government officials, including some cabinet ministers, I escaped into exile in India. Thereafter, nearly 100,000 Tibetans fled into exile in India, Nepal, and Bhutan. During the escape and the months that followed, they faced unimaginable hardship, which is still fresh in Tibetan memory. Having occupied Tibet, the Chinese Communist government carried out a series of repressive and violent campaigns that have included democratic reform, class struggle, communes, the Cultural Revolution, the imposition of martial law, and more recently, the patriotic re-education and the strike hard campaigns. These thrust Tibetans into such depths of suffering and hardship that they literally experience hell on earth. The immediate result of these campaigns was the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Tibetans. The lineage of the Buddha Dharma was severed. Thousands of religious and cultural